I am Lee Ji-sung. Currently, I'm the advisor in the Institute for Labor Market Information and Analysis, ILMIA. I have been in this position for the last 5 years since ILMIA was established. My main responsibility in ILMIA as advisor is to support all the research projects and analysis on labor market issues. In terms of job classifications, the most common classification that we use, in Malaysia especially, are actually twofold. One is we classify jobs according to an international standard of classification, and in Malaysia that is called ASCO. And the other way we classify jobs are whether they are skilled, semi-skilled, or unskilled. But in normal general usage, classifications have also been used using colors, where we classify jobs as white collar or blue collar and other colors including pink and green. Green jobs we all are familiar with, of course. But in general, for our educational attainment purposes, we classify jobs as according to MASCO, which is the Malaysian standard for classifications of occupations, and according to whether a job is skilled, unskilled, or semi-skilled, which is a classification used mostly by international organizations and regional organizations that look into education and skill levels. As we know, Malaysia aspires to be a high-income nation, which is knowledge-based. For that to happen, we need to have jobs that are highly paid. This requires that we have students that are enrolled in educational institutions that produce these high-skill occupations that they qualify for. This would require that we focus more on getting our students to study not only the most important subjects, which are what we call STEM-related, which means that they have to focus on subjects that are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which are called STEM in short. Most education programs now focus on having these kind of content in the education programs. So in Malaysia, when we are looking at skill gaps, we usually measure them in terms of where the skills are needed for the particular kind of industries that Malaysia wants to foster. And this will mostly be in knowledge-based, high-income industries. Tvet is a kind of education which is tertiary, but where the content of the education has a lot of practical content, in the sense that unlike education, for example, in a degree program, which is mostly based on academia, in Tvet type education, there are actually practical sections that have to be fulfilled before you, for example, get a diploma in, for example, as a technician or as an electrician or as a nurse or as a baker. And these are the kind of Tvet occupation that are common. For a degree holder, you can be an accountant, or you can be a doctor, or you can be an architect. But there is no requirement in some of these degree programs that you have to have a practical knowledge. Of course, if you are a doctor, you need to come out later and spend 2 years in a hospital before you are fully licensed to become a doctor. Similarly, for an architect, of course, you have a lot of practical experience drawing up things. And as an accountant, of course, you practice the accounting convention before you actually get a qualification. Similarly, for a lawyer, when they come out, they are a lawyer by qualification, but they don't actually get to practice as a lawyer unless they go through some more training in a lawyer's office, for example. Somebody with a Tvet occupation, if you become an electrician, the chances that you would have spent some 30 to 40% of the time during your Tvet education phase actually working as an electrician, other than learning the theoretical knowledge to become an electrician. So that's the difference between a Tvet type education and an academic-based type qualification. actually for a well-functioning high-income economy, we need a mix of both professional and semi-skilled occupations. Professionals are usually classified to be skilled occupations, and semi-skilled occupations are usually identified by color as blue-collared workers. But there is no barrier for a blue-collar worker with a Tvet education to become a professional, because in today's modern education world, we have modules that allow, through lifelong learning, for a Tvet type education to be upgraded into a professional academic degree type program through modules that different educational institutions adopt to allow people to upskill themselves and reskill themselves to reach different levels of skills in the occupational spectrum. In terms of whether we need more blue-collared workers, because we aspire to become a high-income economy, and the 11 Malaysia plan that just been announced, we are shooting for a professional or skill type occupations in Malaysia to reach a higher percentage than where we are now, which is 25%. We are aiming for between 30 to 35%. So do we need blue-collar type workers, which means semi-skilled workers? We actually need the whole spectrum of workers. So because we know that our young people have different level of interest and skills, they would also be fitting into this kind of spectrum of occupational roles. What does industry require in terms of the different kinds of skills and different kinds of categories of occupation that are needed to drive Malaysia up the high income spectrum?